Hiya and welcome to the Redmen TV. It is Monday the 26th of August. Liverpool have 6 points from 6. But sadly, I am going to start with some sad news. And that is the news that Sven-Göran Eriksson has sadly passed away. As you can see, this is the press release from exactly what is being said. Sven-Göran Eriksson passed away after a long illness. SGE died during the morning at home, surrounded by family. The closest mourners are daughter Lena, son Johan with wife Amana and granddaughter Sky, father Sven, girlfriend Yanni Setti, with son, I can't even say half of these words for obvious reasons, but Alsides, I'm going to say that is, brother Lars Erik with wife Jum Nong, I'm going to say. The family asked for the respect for their wish to mourn in private and not be contacted. Condolence and greetings can be left on the website at www.svengöraneriksson.com. So yeah, heartbreaking news. The only thing I have fond memories of him is from July when he got to take charge of his club that he supported in Liverpool, and us as a community and us as a fan base really bought into him, didn't we, John? And I'm just happy that he got that moment. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, sad news, and it's obviously been in the press for a while, sort of since he went public with his illness. But well-respected fella by all accounts in terms of the game and what he did. You know, obviously in this country, he's mostly sort of remembered for the England thing, with the England job, but you know, sort of around the world, did a lot with football in terms of coaching and stuff, and just seems like a nice fella. I mean, everything. You know, despite sort of all the tabloid stuff, if you like, at the time, when he was the England manager, he always come across as like a decent fella and like a really nice bloke. And then everything that's gone on around this, in terms of like, you know, ex-players talking about him, and I know there's a documentary coming and stuff about him. He all comes across really well and stuff. So really sad, but you know, he lived it. You know, he embraced it, I think, didn't he? You know, he took every opportunity he could, sort of knowing he didn't have long left, if you like, and made the most of it. So sad news, but you know, you want to just sort of, I guess, just sort of celebrate the life, don't you?
Yeah, and obviously, you know, all of our thoughts go to everyone who is affected by the passing of Sven. And like you said there, I was maybe a little bit too young for his England kind of tenure, but from what I've seen from recent years, and also I saw a little teaser, I think, from Amazon Prime for his video, and you know, the words of wisdom he had to say. He just came across as such a humble and lovely man, who also was a pretty decent, you know, manager as well.
Yeah, he seems to have a really great relationship with his players. That was the main thing I took away from it, was like all the players, when he first announced the illness, like all the players just sort of got in touch with him and sort of mentioned the impact it had on his career. And you know, we think the England job's toxic now in terms of like, you know, sort of the expectations around it, I guess. And I know obviously certainly a lot of people who watch this might not be as involved in the England side of things, but you know, he in some senses he had some of the biggest expectations ever. He had you know, the golden generation, but all those players, and you know, he'd just come off the back of Euro 96 and stuff, so it was a big thing, you know, for him to get the job and stuff, and to not be English and all the rest of it. But really decent fella, I think, and you know, I say it's very sad.
Yeah, and there is no easy segue for this, and it's a little bit mad that there's been two pieces of breaking news, one heartbreaking and one a little bit exciting, and we'll move on to the exciting part, and that is Fabrizio Romano has literally just posted this second: Mamardashvili to Liverpool, here we go. Medical today for Georgian keeper as he is joining Liverpool from Valencia. The agreement for €35 million, package plus sell-on clause, will be signed now, but he will join Liverpool in July 2025. This season he is staying in Valencia. So some really good news there, and we are going to talk about, you know, the title was literally, will Liverpool make signings? Well, here it is. But this might be the only signing. We'll soon discuss that. But in terms of this, I think this is a brilliant piece of business. And look, Liverpool, I've criticised them for what they've done badly this summer. But I think this on the whole, thinking of the future, and obviously we'll get on to what Ali said on Saturday, I think this is a really good buy. What do you think, John?
No, definitely. You know, it's, in some senses, it's the hardest position I think to recruit for, isn't it? Because if you get your goalie right, you do it and you forget about it for sort of 10, 15 years. And if you don't get it right, it's always sort of a bit of a question mark. And you know, if you've got a fella who's an 8 out of 10, but you're looking for a 10 out of 10, it's so hard to recruit for that. You know, I don't think anyone, you know, even around football, even people who, you know, who are City fans could deny that we've probably got the best goalie in the world. You know, he's so assured, and he brings not just confidence in terms of defending, but also, you know, even yesterday, you know, against Brentford, some of the passing and stuff out from the back, playing from the back to build up. But obviously, unfortunately, we haven't figured out how to clone him yet. So, so you know, you've got to be looking ahead to the future, haven't you? And you know, we've got the benefits of having a really great number 2 in Kelleher. I know we might have a bit of a chat about him in a bit, but this fella, by all accounts, you know, is in that mould of an Alisson, you know, in terms of his abilities and his range and stuff. He's playing for a good team in a great league, and you know, I know there was a bit of chat. I know it's all sorts of breaking, but there was a bit of chat around him maybe going to Bournemouth. Yep. Obviously, if he's going to go back to Valencia and stay where he is, he can continue to develop there, and you know, they're a good side. So.
Yeah, and he's only 23, so he's got a lot of years ahead of him. I think he's 6'6", if I'm correct in thinking. And did you watch the Euros? I thought he was brilliant at the Euros as well. So we're getting a kind of a glimpse of what he's been like. He saved a penalty the other day, I'm pretty sure, in La Liga. So there's a lot to look forward to in terms of him being a new signing and one for the future. And unlike what we've done in certain areas, we're actually future-proofing. And like you mentioned there, goalkeeper might be the hardest place to actually recruit because it's the most damaging position, isn't it? And we've seen plenty of goalkeepers go for high amounts of money and actually not come through on that. So I think it's good that he's back at Valencia. He's going to keep playing the way he is. And who knows, what do you reckon happens next season then? Because Alisson will bring up exactly what he spoke about the other day. He said that he'd rejected a move to Saudi because it wasn't the time. At some point he was distracted, but because of the money mainly. But ultimately he wants to finish his contract at Liverpool. That contract I think is at least until 2026 with maybe a further year added on. So what do you think happens next year? Because we've got Yaros, who has been promoted to the third choice. Kelleher, who I assume would have gone this season. He's got 5 days, has he, to try and get his move. So what do you think happens now starting next season? And also, what happens this season? Do we keep Kelleher and then he goes next season?
I think it's a long game, isn't it? I think, you know, it's almost too easy for me to sit here and say it's a season of change, given everything that's gone on behind the scenes and obviously the new manager and stuff. But almost the best thing you can do, and the manager has been very clear in this, is like you don't want to disrupt too much too soon. So keeping sort of where we are this season, I think, you know, I know obviously as fans, a lot of us don't want to hear that, but, you know, like having the same goalkeeper, the same number 2, it can't be a bad thing. You know, we finished third last season, you know, we were in a good place. But no, I think you'll probably see more change next season. I think I personally think Alisson's still going to be here in sort of 4 or 5 years' time. I think he'll probably do another deal. You know, he could easily go abroad, you know, whether it's Saudi or elsewhere when he's a bit older, and, you know, he's got young kids and stuff, and he doesn't seem unhappy. You know, he's always, all sorts of stories you hear around the goalie in terms of the staff who he works with and stuff. He's always seemed very settled and sort of very content where he is. I do think Kelleher will move. It doesn't look like it's going to happen this window. Like I say, it'll probably be next summer now. But, you know, you've got to think at a certain point for him, just for himself, I think, for his own career, he's got to think, well, you know, I'm playing, you know, when Alisson's been out injured, I'm playing sort of 15, 20 games a season. And
Alisson will probably definitely get injured because it feels like he has a spell on the sidelines every single year, really, doesn't it?
He always picks a knock up, doesn't he?
Yeah.
You know, don't know what he does around the house. But, you know.
Last year, like, Kelleher had to play a large part of the season, and that was like an injury in training. It wasn't like it was in the game. But I also remember, is it the season we win the league? He gets injured maybe at the first home game. Adrian has to come in. So, you know, future-proofing that goalkeeping position is very important for us. And Alisson, you know, I'd never want to see him go because he is the greatest goalkeeper on earth right now. But at the same time, I'm just happy that we've actually signed someone. It's not for this season, but I'm happy that I get to talk about something that's gone on. And from everything that we're hearing, look, he obviously joined Valencia in 2021. So he's had a couple of years there of experience for a decent side and a side that's doing well. They only paid £850,000 for him, by the way, and they're now getting 35 million euros for him. He's Georgian number 1. played 21 games for them as well. So there is, for the age of 23, he's actually got a little bit of experience behind him. But we'll come back to that if anything else comes out about the contract or anything like that. But I want to get into what this is about. And the title was, will Liverpool make signings? But yeah, they're about to sign someone, but how many signings will they make? What positions? Do you think, and look, Mamardashvili isn't for this year, so it's for next year, so we can just take that out of the game for the season. Do you think Liverpool right now have a squad that can challenge for the title?
I think they do. I think the big thing is injuries, and I think the big thing which everyone seems to, particularly on like Sky and stuff, seems to have just not said anything about for me is the Champions League. I think, I know they haven't started the best, but I'm looking at Newcastle and sort of thinking they can make a good tilt to this year with no European football. But in terms of ourselves, it's about keeping players fit. And, there was a lot of chat sort of when the manager was announced around sort of how well he managed the squad of Feyenoord in terms of injuries and stuff. There's going to be a hell of a lot of games this year. And there was a hell of a lot of games last year. And we picked up knocks. Obviously playing a slightly more intense style of football under the old manager, but there's no reason for me, based on what the available evidence, if you like, what we've seen in pre-season and also what we've seen in the first two proper games, that we can't do it again. And we at the minute, as you sort of opened the show with, we're 6 points from 6, 2 wins, both games had a clean sheet. Things obviously will get a bit tougher, but the fear, I think maybe sort of the dilemma I think we're all wrestling with as a fan base is like, what I think we could all pretty comfortably say, if we're all being honest, we think this squad could finish third, and if we sign a fella who's a backup left back or whatever, we'll still finish third. It's who can we sign who takes us from being third place to being, it's the last game of the season and there's a Premier League trophy at Anfield and a Premier League trophy at the City Ground. You know what I mean? It's really hard, I think, to sort of identify that person in the market. You can go, if we sign him, we go from being like there or thereabouts to being now like we're in the mix now thoroughly kind of thing. And for Arsenal last season, for example, even though actually I think he had a good season, but I don't think he had I think you're looking at Rice. They got to spend the money. Don't get me wrong, I thought he had a 7 out of 10 season. I thought he was really good, but they did something to go like, right, now we're in the mix, and all of a sudden it was like, right, it's Arsenal and City for the league last year. I don't know who that player is for Liverpool, unfortunately. Yeah,
that is the hard part. It's identify, and this isn't our job, so it's actually okay for us to not really know. I like your optimism. I'll give you that. I don't think Liverpool have the squad to challenge. I think City and Arsenal just have more experience behind them, players who have been there before. And yes, Liverpool have that, but also, that entire midfield's not. I mean, Alexis McAllister's won a World Cup, so that is that. But in terms of the Premier League, I just feel like Liverpool need a couple more additions. We weren't at it last season. We went toe to toe with them for as long as we could, and then it kind of all collapsed and fizzled out a little bit. And to be fair, I don't expect this Liverpool side to go for the league this season. That's not my expectation. My expectation is to get top 4, hopefully pick up a cup along the way, and I want a long run in the Champions League, because that for me is the greatest competition that we can have. So if you believe Liverpool are there or thereabouts, you're not confident that we're going to sign, look, Mamardashvili, sure, but you're not confident that we're going to sign anyone in the last 5 days that's going to be in this squad for next season, are you?
No, and I think, I think that's just the model we have. And again, I know it upsets a lot of people, but it's like, if you can't add the value, if you like, in terms of like I said, like a big change, like what's the point in Liverpool spending 30 million on a lad who's going to sit on the bench half the season? And like it's minutes. Like, I'm all on board with the sort of the keeping people fresh argument by rotating the squad and that, definitely. But if you're not signing someone who's going into your first team, why are you signing for your bench kind of thing? And that's always been our philosophy, I think.
But did Arsenal not do that with Trossard, and are they not a better team for having done that? Because I look at Trossard, and at the time I thought, it's all right signing that. He's not going to challenge Martinelli, like he's not as good of a player, but actually how clutch he is ridiculous. The other day against Villa, you saw it again, you saw it at times last season. So I agree, Liverpool will need world-class footballers to go into a starting 11. But the way I look at it is, for me, if Gravenberch gets injured, and I've liked Gravenberch in the six so far, what happens? What happens there? My other part is Salah. What happens if he just can't go and go and go? You've got Ben Doak, and Ben Doak might be sold, who knows? But you're dealing with either a makeshift option, which I don't feel like Liverpool should have to be doing, or you're dealing with Ben Doak in the Premier League or Champions League.
I think, you see, my counter-argument to that would be, all right, if you're Arsenal and you've got your attacking players, and you're Liverpool and you've got your attacking players, who are you taking? And I would take ours, and I think a lot of Arsenal fans would say the same, and that's not to do Saka or anybody a disservice. I think for us, it's a thing of position versus team. So I think if you're thinking of an attacking unit, how do you add to the attacking unit? Well, we've got, 5, 6, depending on who you're putting in as the sixth player, lads who are brilliant. And so if Salah gets injured, yeah, it's a problem. But for me, it's like, well, then we change the system a bit and we play a slightly, maybe we play with 2 instead of 3 or whatever. For me, it's like, where can you add the value, and like, how can you change it? And you're right in saying, like, the 6 is the obvious thing, where ever since Fabinho's left the club, we've needed a player there who can dominate and dictate a game. It was meant to be Thiago, didn't quite work out, obviously. So, it's not that I'm saying there's not positions where I don't think we can improve. Definitely, there's obviously positions where I'd love to see us bring in someone at the back. I think we're a bit light at centre half personally, and I'd love us to bring the 6 in. And there's probably someone, in terms of like the attacking positions where you could make a sign in there to sort of like, particularly on the right wing, sort of lessen the load on Salah. But I just think, looking at it, who's got better attacking options than us? Probably only City, maybe, and in terms of the spread, I think. And
they lost Alvarez, who is a massive player, by the way.
Exactly. And like, if we're dominating games, and bear in mind, by the way, Liverpool are going to dominate games. That's not just wishful thinking. Like, we are going to have most of the ball in a lot of games and stuff. It's the head-to-head games, isn't it, where we're going to make or break the season against like the other big teams. But I don't know. I just think it's disappointing, but I can also sort of understand the logic behind it, in the sense of, it's a new manager, it's a new team. It's not as if we haven't tried to sign someone. We identified a target, and for various reasons, which I'm sure you guys have gone over lots, he didn't want to come. So what do you do if your number one target says no? There's definitely a 2, 3 and a 4, but
are those 2, 3 and 4 already gone because you've taken so long to get the first one? That's my thought behind that, because there might have been a couple of players who've already moved on to different clubs who could have been on Liverpool's list for 2nd, 3rd and 4th, but now we're actually dealing with the 6th best player because the others have all got off somewhere else. But what positions? So if you, let's live in a world where Liverpool do sign players in this last week, which I pray to God they do, where are the positions that you want, and what are the priorities in the list?
I mean, I think the number one priority has to be a 6.
Yep.
I think it's hard because it's sort of understanding sort of what's going on behind the scenes. Obviously, it's been quite difficult in the sense of, I think a lot of us were sort of thinking, we'll sign a 6, we'll sell Endo, and then you've got whoever that is, who we sign, Bajcetic, and and possibly McAllister as a Blake Glass kind of thing. What's actually happened is we've kept Endo. We seem to be playing Gravenberch there, and a lot of the chat is that maybe Bajcetic is going on loan or whatever. And I know that's upset a fair number of people, but
Dan included.
But no, I think we need a 6, and I think, but I think the ask for the 6 is almost different now. I don't think we need a destroyer. We don't need a Fabinho. We don't need a fella who's going to absolutely just run the game like a Mascherano kind of thing.
Yep.
We need someone almost who can sort of sit with the ball and dictate play, but also can sort of look to be creative. And again, it's interesting that we haven't had Trent there. Maybe I think it's certainly in terms of what's gone on around how he's been used in the first few games. But I think a 6 for me is a definite, just because I think, as you say, it's the number of games, and if one of them goes down injured kind of thing. For me, I think a big thing, just in general, I think sort of the left side of the defence. I just think we need
left-footed as well.
We need a left-footer there.
Someone who can also play left back for me as well, because watching Liverpool from the first 2 games, it very much is Robbo, Verge, Canate as a back 3 when we are in possession, because I've looked at it from the cop and you see behind the side, and Trent is just told, you do whatever you want because you've got the most quality in this entire pitch. And I think Robbo has done an all right job there, but I do agree with you. If we can get someone who can cover for Virgil as well, because there is Champions League football. and to play 2-3 games a week is a lot to ask of him. He's also getting older, and who knows what happens with this contract situation. I would be don't know about you, I would be so much happier if Liverpool in this summer would have told me that Virg, Mo and Trent's contracts were sorted. Then I think this, even though I want signings, I'd be more open to the possibility of, okay, well, we can focus on things for next season then, because you've already got those sorted. My worry is if Salah leaves, you can't keep him there. If Virgil leaves, well, you've already got these 3 positions that I think Liverpool need. I think they need a centre-back, left-sided / left-back. I think they need a DM, and I think they need a backup right winger to Mo. You then add Virgil actually leaving, you add Mo actually leaving, and then Trent potentially leaving. There is 6 things that you've got to sort out. And Conor Bradley, boss, superb, not Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I love Conor, and if Conor could fill that role, I'm sound with that. But you still need a backup to him then. So my problem is there just seems a lot for Liverpool to do, and they've got to sort those contracts before January.
They have to, and it's the speculation thing then, isn't it, if they don't do it before Jan, in terms of pre-contracts and what's going on behind the scenes and that. But it's something that I think that obviously they're mindful of, and I feel for the manager in a way, because it's all he seems to be getting asked about at the minute is, when Jurgen left is always the first question, and then also what he's doing with these lads. And by all accounts, that's not his job, is it? No. It's the team behind him. So, but it's difficult, and the positives I think is that like the players themselves don't seem that way. All the sort of, I know there was a lot of worry sort of around Van Dijk when the Euros happened and the Netherlands went out, and then it was almost like reading what he'd said, if you like, in the paper versus actually seeing what he said. He almost seemed to be talking about maybe retiring for the Netherlands rather than talking about Liverpool. But the players all seem relaxed and calm. Mo seems happy. I don't know if anyone's noticed the difference on the pitch for him this season, but he seems all right to me.
Yeah. His hair's doing great as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Covering well.
Yeah, it is recovering well, isn't it? But we've spoken about, like, first of all, is there a name you can give me who if Liverpool was to sign him before Friday, and it's got to be slightly realistic. Do you have a name in mind, or several names in mind, where you'd love Liverpool to go and identify them as a target, or feel like they should be?
I think the realistic one, only because we've been linked with him for a long, long time, by all accounts, is it Ignacio at Lisbon?
Ignacio, yeah.
He seems to be, Liverpool have this thing, don't we, sort of under Michael Edwards, where names recirculate over a couple of years kind of thing. We were linked with him a while ago. We're still being linked with him now. I noticed there was some stuff in the press this morning again about him. He's the right age. He's played a lot of games for Lisbon. I think they've won the league, haven't he? He's been part of like a league-winning team out there, so he's got that experience as well. He's left-sided. He plays in a back three, which might be sort of a mark against them a little bit. But as you said, we sort of transition into a three when we're in attack and stuff. So he ticks a lot of boxes for me. And like I say, the fact that he's, we've got experience in that market in terms of the Portuguese market, that kind of thing. There's a lot there. It makes me think he's a live running rider. There's some other links, I guess, sort of in Cappy, isn't he? At Bayern Leverkusen, and he's in a similar vein, I guess, in the sense of he plays more as a wing back, but he's the obvious one for me. I don't know if you've got anybody, but the one I struggle with weirdly, I think, is probably the midfield. I can't think of somebody a name who stands out to me where I go, he comes in and makes us a better team. Yeah,
and actually Zubimendi probably was, I can't say he was the greatest option, because actually he wasn't in my mind up until we said his name. But then watching him and watching what Slot's now doing with our team, the way he beats the press and he basically makes us go from back to front, the ball playing kind of midfielder is who we are after. The problem is that you're so hard to find these players. Rodri is the best of both worlds. He is a destroyer, but at the same time, he is so good on the ball. He pops up with clutch goals. Declan Rice, similar, not on Rodri's level, but similar. The amount of headers he scored last season, big goals for Arsenal that he got. I don't know who Liverpool should sign for that position. I just know they need someone. I agree, it can't be someone who's just a stopgap, because we've already got that in there. But I refuse to believe that there's no one out there who Liverpool have identified who can't improve this Liverpool squad. That's my only thing.
So my only other thing on this, and this is it purely, as you say, we're living in speculation here in terms of who we may or may not sign. If that player isn't out there, would you rather we sign someone?
No, I'd rather we wait. I agree with that.
No, but would you rather we sign someone who's young and we go, right, you've got 12 months kind of thing? Because I think if you reverse engineer this, my thing on this is look, I really like Endo. You know, I think he's been a solid sign and he's done exactly what he was brought in for. But ideally, he should be moving on next summer. I know he's had a nice 2 years at the club, blah, 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 blah. But the age is, etc. You move him on. So then you do need someone in place. And if you're bringing someone new in, fresh, whether the world class or not, there's a bedding in period. Do you know what I mean? So if we can't find someone, and like going to what you're saying, we must be able to identify someone. If we can't find the right player right now, can we find a player who's maybe almost there, who you have for 12 months in the same way we've signed this lad and loaned them back out? The
only thing I would say to that is, do we not have Stefan Bajcetic to do that role? Well, that is my only, like, if we didn't have Stefan, I'd 100% say it. But right now, like, I don't know what's happening with Stefan. If we do not sign anyone, loaning him out would seem ludicrous to me. Like, it would, like, first and foremost, I want more than anything Stefan to go and get game time, to go and get experience, to build himself back up to the player he was 2 seasons ago. However, if that puts Liverpool as a squad at risk, I don't care about his personal development because I've got to put the team first. And look, Ryan Gravenberch, if he got injured, then you're dealing with Endo. Endo doesn't seem the type of player that Slot wants to play from the start. He's more of a see it out for the last couple of minutes kind of player. I thought Wataru Endo would go, and I think maybe if Zubimendi signed, he would have. So I get your point, and I agree, maybe we should nurture a player, but I think that also could just be Stefan Bajcetic, and I don't know where he's up to. But talking about like outgoings, there are a couple of players here who, before Friday, I think there's something to try and solve. You know, Nat Phillips, I feel like someone has got to come in for him at some point. You've obviously got your Kelleher, which is a bit of a mad one. Gomez seems like he's staying now. That entire Newcastle Palace situation seems a little bit over. Wataru Endo's still a player who, I mean, I think if Liverpool was to bring someone in, could potentially be sold. Who for you do you think will leave the club before Friday?
It's weird because for everything we've just said, I think the only player for me is probably Bajcetic. Just because there's the most news around him. I think there's
also Ben Doak, but that's gone a little bit quiet.
That's gone quite quiet, hasn't it? Yeah, I just think, you know, don't get me wrong, I think, you know, if it was sat here in a week's time and you said, oh, Tsimikas is gone, we've signed a lad who plays at the back or whatever, I wouldn't be surprised kind of thing. But I just think the manager seems quite firm on the fact that he wants to keep Gomez, and it's weird. Almost, I think that the club they've almost created that sense of unsettling them by it coming out that he was involved in the Newcastle deal and stuff and all that. Because he seemed quite happy, and you know, and by all accounts, the manager seems happy with him. So I don't think he's going anywhere. It's only really him and
Morton. Someone said in the chat here, which is a good one. But however, it feels once again like
he's another lad.
3 weeks ago, it was RB Leipzig. There was this, all these people lined up, and since then, it's been absolute silence. And that's a little bit of a weird one because if you remember with Sevilla and then it was Las Palmas, Seth Van der Merg didn't come on the pitch at all. And that was a very clear indication of, he's going. Morton played. He played half in the Sevilla game and then he played in the Las Palmas game as well. So I'd expect Morton to leave. But actually, if there's no one there willing to pay the price that Liverpool want... like it's gone quiet. That might not even happen here, but he's another one that I feel like deserves his chance to go, bring us some money in and get
he does any, but then we haven't really seen it. But then he's another lad who plays in the position where we want to strengthen, isn't he? You know what I mean? He's another lad you look at and think he could do 6 kind of thing. But no, I think what is interesting, I think, is the amount of young people we've sold. It's almost as if they've come in and gone, like, all these players are good, but they play this way, and that's not how we want to play. So we're almost going to shift them out. And
I think that's I don't want to say it's worrying, but I am a little bit worried because there are some players here who a season ago, or you know, Vitor Matos and Pep Lijnders were 2 very big people in that development, and these were lads who actually helped us last season. Some of us were surprised by him, and clearly Trey and Yanni is the favourite. He is the one that they all believe that's going to make it. But the fact that we've gave like first refusal on Bobby Clark makes me think that actually we think highly of him. We signed him from Newcastle. You don't go out buying these young talents. Are you slightly worried about the fact that it seems every young player is leaving this football club?
I am a little bit, I can't lie. It's actually the thing that's worried me the most, I think, in terms of like, all right, so hang on, we've finally got this great academy, and like we are getting good fees for all these lads, but you know, like, what's going on? How come they're all going? But you know, maybe there's a thing to it. I mean, like, you know, there's obviously been a lot of change behind the scenes, and listen, it's way too much for us to go into here in terms of, you know, breadth and views on it, but you know, a big thing around sort of Everton's coming back, being the multi-club model and all that kind of thing. So maybe there's a long-term vision to this, where, as you say, they're putting buybacks in, that kind of thing. Obviously, we got a bit of a fee for when Solanke went to Spurs and stuff, things like that. There might be sort of a longer-term vision to it that we don't see, kind of thing.
And also, look, I don't get paid for this. These people know a lot more about football than I do, so we're in the right jobs. I should not be over there, because I couldn't name you a DM that needs to sign for Liverpool aside from Martin Zubimendi, which I wouldn't have thought of before the stats proved that it would be him. But at the same time, it is one of them where there's got to be people out there.
There's got to be, and even if there's a project element to it, like I say, I think that's why for me I've sort of arrived at thinking of that. It's like, look, you're better to get a lad in now who you think, all right, maybe we've got to work with them. And the problem is there's not going to be a lot of time for them to work with people on the pitch because of the amount of games. But you know, as you say, you know, if someone breaks down, I know you mentioned Gravenberch, but for example, for me, it's like, say Robbo breaks down, well, what do you do then? You've literally got Tsimikas and that's it. And, you know, all right, you can play Gomez there kind of thing, but he doesn't seem to favour that style of a centre-half or full-back. This manager does. He seems to favour more, I've got a fella who can get up and down kind of thing.
Yeah. And also from this comment here, I think personally they are sticking the cash and waiting for next year, so they have to replace Virgil and Salah. They're two players that I cannot imagine Liverpool being able to play without. Like, without them, I don't think we're anywhere near the title, because they are irreplaceable in my eyes. But, you know, that is what we've came to the conclusion that we'd love Liverpool to sign players. Like, could we please Liverpool sign people before Friday? But at the same time, we've also got to be realistic. And look, Mamardashvili will probably sign. I'd say probably, because even though I've had to here we go, I've been here before. Even though he's for next season, so actually I'm not really including that right now. But I sincerely hope we do sign players. We probably won't. I won't lie, don't get your hopes up. But Liverpool love to surprise me. Caicedo came out of nowhere. I enjoyed that for all of 12 hours. So you look, there was things to be positive about here. Speaking of things to be positive about, we'll just quickly round up some other bits. Ali rejected Saudi, which is sick. Says that he just adores Liverpool Football Club and wants to, run down his contract. But also, Liverpool beat Brentford 2-0.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, what did you think about it quickly? What was the thing that you liked the most about the performance?
The control. I think what was really weird was, and you know, he spoke about this a little bit after the match, is we looked a bit pedestrian again, sort of first half. We didn't look sort of at the races, and then I don't know what he says to them at half time, kind of thing. But then we came out and were brilliant, and there was bits that second half. I mean, that sort of interplay with
the 20,000 passes inside the area
with Salah, I suppose. I mean, that would have been the goal
of the season.
Century. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, to be fair, it might have been the greatest goal I've ever seen.
Exactly. I mean, but
technically wise, like obviously you've seen Thunderbolts and things like that, but like for
nothing's beaten that Barcelona goal for me.
But look, we can try and get close to it. Also on that, Liverpool finished the match with 602 passes compared to Brentford's 358. The passing accuracy of 92%. Delightful stuff there. We actually broke the record for our own possession for that and accuracy of passing. Liverpool also set a new record for attendance. Obviously, some of the Annie Road was more available to use. Not all of it, I still don't think. But we had 60,107 people inside Anfield, which was delightful. The other thing I want to quickly bring up is just this little stat from Ryan Gravenberch when it does load. Ryan Gravenberch v Brentford, accurate passes 72 out of 77, which is 94%. 90 touches, successful dribbles 1 out of 2, 50%. Final third passes 9, accurate long balls he won 1 or 2. He did 1 or 2. Tackles 1, 3 or 3. Love that, I do. Recoveries 8, interceptions 2, and 4 of 8 duels 1. Another sound performance from him.
Yeah, he can read the game really well. You know, it's he's an intelligent footballer. I think what damns him almost is the fact that he's almost so utilitarian. Yeah. You know, it's the Wijnaldum thing all over again, isn't it? People look at him and don't know what he does. Yeah. But when you see the numbers, you go, I don't know what he's doing, but he does it very well. Yeah. You know, he's a good lad, and he's still young, and I think, you know, time's on his side in the sense of his age as a player, but also he's got the thing of, you know, the manager obviously being from where he's from and sort of playing the same style of football. So hopefully he can continue to develop. Yeah.
Also, Lewis Koumas scored on his Stoke debut, which is boss to see. And the news of the update on Curtis Jones, obviously he was missing from the weekend, is that he's basically, it's going to be close for him. He's in a race against time to be back for Manchester United. Just quickly on that, same starting 11 against United?
I think so, yeah. I can't really think. The only players I would change would be some of the front three. Not that I want to, but I'm just thinking that's the only changes you could make in terms of if for whatever reason you think maybe starting Gakpo or starting Núñez helps. Mm-hmm. But you know, if it's the same 11, I'll be happy.
Yeah, same. Luis Diaz was phenomenal. Ibu Konate, phenomenal. But yeah, thanks so much for joining us. We've established that Liverpool probably will not sign anyone other than Mamardashvili before Friday, but we all stay hateful and we all look forward to United this weekend. Make sure you're keeping up to date with all of our shows. We've got the uncensored match build-up on Friday. We've got the watch-along on Sunday. So join us all for that. But that's enough for me. Thanks so much, John, for coming in. See you on the next one. Up the Reds.